Happy Sunday. I'm running a quick errand. I don't know about you, but the way our house works is anything that anybody needs goes on a shopping list, and then I tend to do the shopping for everybody. And I always ask, of course, that if you're getting low on something, for instance, my husband has cereal with his medication every morning. He's so faithful about taking his anti-kidney rejection medication, or kidney anti-rejection medication. And so his routine is to have Cinnamon Life cereal in the house, and I usually buy it in bulk. I buy boxes and boxes and boxes, and they build and grow in his cabinet. And our little guy has decided to eat daddy cereal every morning, which is really cute and really sweet. And usually I'm on top of it and have, lots of cereal backup. So when one box is empty, the next one is available. And this morning I went in to give my 6-year-old some of daddy cereal. And there was very little left in the box that was open. And there were no boxes as backup. So I'm actually headed to the store to grab some more cereal. And as I was getting ready, because I'm also, ready for church so we can, leave on time. Well, my job is to get myself ready, and then everybody else's job is to get themselves ready. But I have the time, and I'm going because that to me is a little show of love. But, I also had kind of a light bulb moment thinking about years of anxiety. It almost puts you into a survival mode, in a sense, trying to avoid the uncomfortable things. So, obviously I'm not perfect, and I have reactions to things when they don't go the way in my mind I think they should. And I'm not the only person who does that. And I just think when something like this occurs, yes, there's an element of I'm doing it because I love you, and that's my way of giving back, giving service to my husband. But there's also a piece that wants to avoid a reaction, I think. And it's not just towards him, because, like I said, everybody has reactions when things don't go the way they expect them to. And I think anxiety definitely magnifies those reactions, which is why it feels as though reactions towards me are more intense. I've been, for many years, working to break the habits that anxiety caused in my life. It's disruptive, they're thinking habits, they're reaction habits. And as often as I really try to be more mindful of how I'm reacting to people, especially my kids, I think deep down I expect those same reactions towards me, that reaction of grace or love. And when it doesn't happen, it hurts. And if I'm paying attention, I understand, and I try not to take it personal, but there is always that little deep piece, and that's the part that I try to pay attention to, because that's the part that keeps you shackled. We can believe things at a soul surface, but then we need to believe things at a soul level. And it starts with believing that you're loved unconditionally. And I know that wholeheartedly. I know that I'm loved unconditionally by God. And Jesus died for me. And I believe that in my soul. So there's kind of this in-between place when you become a believer, a true believer. I mean, I don't know if I've talked about this before, but I was a believer my whole life. I always believed that God existed. I always believed that He created the world. He creates people in His image. I have always believed that. But it was never a relationship until I was saved. And there's a huge difference between those two. And so I'm at a point where I believe it's kind of like a time of in between, because I'm a believer, but all the habits of my past are what affect my household, because my family members, my husband, my kids, my parents, my siblings, we all know who I was before I was saved. And when then I go back into those anxiety habits, it kind of repeats the same cycles that I've been working so hard to repair. And first and foremost, it comes back again. I know I've talked about it many times, to surrender, surrendering the situation, taking the pressure off of the fact that I don't have to change these things by myself. I truly believe that God refines us, and it's a process. It's not just, yes, you're a new creation. You are saved. I'm just dropping some mail in the box on my way to the store. So as a new creation, you are saved. And from that point then, that's when things really change. And a lot of times you've got people all around you from your past who don't necessarily buy into it yet. And so you've got a lot of situations where even if your intentions are pure as can be, you're still going to be providing some old ways just in your regular everyday doings. And so for me, I've looked at my past and my innate habits of trying to just survive anxiety. It's turned me into a person who, if I'm not careful, I get into a survival mode. And so I'm getting very wordy. Ultimately, the point is, when you're doing something with intention, you can also look at the fact that there is still a piece that is going to step in from the past as well. And which side are you going to take then? Like if I'm doing an action, like I said, going to a grocery store to pick up some more cereal for my husband, I want it to be genuinely from a place of love, because that's where the original intention came from. But then there's also a fear piece that says, in the past, there was a reaction that didn't make me feel very good when my husband ran out of something. And that's one of those places where I just want to be aware of and pray about it and surrender it, and then truly allow myself to do an action with love instead of out of fear. So I hope this makes sense, because it was one of those light bulb moments and I didn't have anything around me to write down the thought process. But it's just interesting, because even though anxiety is not a prominent, dominant experience in my life anymore, there are still those pieces from the past that need to be worked through. For me, I definitely get stressed out inside as a survivor, fight or flight type of thing. And that truly is a habit, because the second that I'm aware of the fact that I'm in kind of like a survivor, zoom everywhere, trying to complete everything mode, that's when I can kind of just pause and think, this isn't what God wants for me. And it's just, again, a habit breaking, a refinement process from God himself. I mean, these are things, yes, I can be aware of it, but ultimately, that renewal comes from the grace of God. It doesn't come from things that I do. And so that's what surrender looks like. And it's complicated, yet it's so simple. And so I think that's the most fascinating piece of all of it. We complicate things so often when really it's just simple, and God's so capable of doing what he needs to do and what he does best. And so my job is to let him do that. Happy Sunday. I hope you go to church today. If you don't, definitely try to get there, especially if it's been a while. It's good for you. It's good for your soul. And we get to worship our Creator while we're there. And that's a beautiful gift. God bless.